Hi, gorgeous Leo Pride. I am so happy to be sitting with you here in January 2020. Congratulations, you all, on a really powerful 2020 for the Lions out there. Anybody with strong Leo energy, it has been a potent time of change. And I was sitting with the Leo energy, just feeling through January. We're at the beginning of a new decade. We're at the beginning of a new year. It's a beautiful number, 2020. We're in an eclipse season. There's a lot of power and a lot of symbolism to the beginning of this year. And there's a lot working with us that I think we can use as medicine. But the message that came through so brilliantly for me, for Leos, was this. I'm just going to read what I had written up here because it's meaningful and I think powerful. The blooming wildness of soul is here. You have to trust in this innate wildness and stop trying to contain it and judge it and find ways to structure it. It's okay to only know the next step and not have a clear view of the whole of the journey. That's the message that came through. And that idea of wildness, like the word wild means to be in a state of the natural. And it's interesting because we have so much energy in Capricorn, right? Which is known to be a sign of security and structure. It's the kind of classic like fatherly structure, father time. He's often associated with Saturn and he's in Capricorn. There's all this energy that's about structure and about commitment and about being in the earth and being in the ground and making plans on the ground. And I think that's amazing. I love that energy. I think we can all really utilize it right now to reconnect with our earthiness, our earth groundedness, right? But the only way we're going to be able to make meaningful movement through the world is if we're listening to the wildness of our soul. If we are not, the structures we build are flimsy and false and empty and problematic, right? And I think Leo's, there's been some burns, there's been some road rash, there's been some tumbles, Page of Pentacles, along the way the last few years. And, whoa, Judgment really wanted to come out. That card's been very strong this month, and that's partially because there's going to be a Saturn and Pluto conjunction on January 12th. Uranus is going direct on January 10th. We, of course, have this full moon lunar eclipse in Cancer, which is happening in your 12th house, the spiritual, the deeply spiritual. There's a lot going on, right? And then, of course, how could we forget that January also heralds in a move from Capricorn energy into 7th house energy, Aquarius energy, which means we are having some mirroring going on here. This is our opposite sign. So Mercury's moving into that, the sun's moving into Aquarius, and we have a new moon in Aquarius. This is all activating relationship and how we see ourselves, but also how we connect, how we love, and how we allow others in. So there's a lot of clarity in this month for Leos in general. But I think Leos, you might be 3 of Cups. I love it. A little afraid to trust your wildness now because your wildness may have taken you, 9 of Pentacles, I love it, into some really interesting places of contrast, of exploration. Your wildness has taken you on some safaris, right? To go and see very powerful and potent things. So, that cautiousness, the cautiousness of the cat at times might come through where you're like, I don't know if I can trust this mechanism in me. 9 of Cups. Wow. Gotten the good 9s here, people, because it's led me to some strange places. Part of that journey. Tower. Woo! All right. We're getting into the real talk now. Judgment and Tower. Don't worry. Don't be afraid. 6 of Swords. Don't be afraid, my friends. I will talk you through this. The Tower is the wildness speaking. 4 of Cups. Can't see the whole road ahead, right? Bottom of the deck is the Fool. I'm going to include that because, and then Page of Cups. Okay, let's just include all this goodness because wildness of soul does mean you move through the world really boldly. You know, this is not about being contained, being predictable, doing what you think you're supposed to be doing. This energy is going to fly in the face of what you've been taught about what meaningful movement, what meaningful change is in the world. This wildness is also innate in you, and it also challenges the fixedness of Leo energy because there's a mutability to it. Now, I want to just jump straight to these really complex cards that came through for Leos. Because these are really big. There's a huge shift here. There's a huge release of something. I want to specifically talk about Judgment, Tower, and Six of Swords. I know that these did not come out in order, but I do a really holistic approach to tarot reading, which means that we are getting our messages here. This is all the information connecting and concocting and making sense. And this is about revolution, right? This is about clarity, and this is about freedom. Now, even more importantly, the context of something like the Tower and the Judgment card and the Six of Swords is very important. I want to show you something here. The Nine of Pentacles and the Nine of Cups is followed by the Tower. The good things we want to experience in life, the rich things, the things that are going to give our soul the biggest infusions of love and joy and happiness require really big change. You know, it's not about the status quo. I think sometimes the most exciting phases and chapters in our lives, the best times, the most exciting movements we can make in the world actually bring about this type of energy, because you get accepted into the school you want to get into, you get the job you want, you get the house you want, the relationship you want, the work opportunities you want, whatever it is that's moving you in the world. Guess what? You're leaving behind a version of who you've been. It's getting stricken out. You're releasing it at a soul level, and you're moving. And there is bittersweetness in that. Like, let's not sugarcoat this, right? Like, when you start to change as a person in a way where you know you're never going back to your old shape, you know you're never going back to your old ways, when you know that there's no such thing as going home to what was familiar, there is a bittersweetness in that, because even though you know you are ready to change, you have changed shape, and there are big pieces of information coming in for you, it doesn't mean that's not still a little scary, a little overwhelming. That wildness is wanting to take you to places you've never seen or been. And it's like, can I trust this wildness? You know, I admit, even I got a little like, woo, when the Tower wanted to show up in the reading today, because, of course, that does bring an element of surprise, right? It brings an element of the unknown. It brings an element of shakeup in a way that maybe you didn't expect. But I feel very clear that this is part of this stepping into the next field of vision. And that bittersweetness, that shock to your system can be a lot to handle. But let's rewind a little bit, because I just had to address these heavier cards, right? But when you look at the rest of this reading, what do we see? We see places of nurturing and growth and building and committing and investing and ease that are really potent. Page of Pentacles, right? So these new doorways are opening. You're moving on things. You're investing in things. You're going for it, right? And that is causing this catalytic conversion to occur where you are releasing who you've been. You are releasing who you've been, the shadows of the past, any old traumas. This is a really beautiful time to release narratives that were handed to you as a child about value, about money, about worth, about what you're allowed to accomplish, how you're allowed to love, how you're allowed to receive love. All of that is getting shaken free here. And that is facilitating you stepping into this glorious space. Friendship, ease, slow down, nurturing. This is a very important time, Leos, with that wildness. Wildness doesn't always look like burning things to the ground. The tower doesn't always look like catastrophe and destruction. These energies can look like you just choosing differently and things shifting. But these are cards of ease and joy. These are cards of feeling held, feeling surrounded, feeling loved, feeling nurtured, feeling held. Fully held, right? This is not about doing things the hard way. This is not about trying to fight up current toward something that doesn't feel good to you. This is about things that are scary and are intimidating a little bit, but also you just know this is coming from a deeper part of your soul. The instructions are coming in from a deeper part of your soul. And even if you don't understand exactly how that's going to pan out, you just know this is the right step for you. And you know that that means you can't stay where you've been. You can't stay where you've been. So if you're resisting your path, yeah, the lightning will come and strike something out. If you've been embracing your path, and you've been leaning into it, the tower is going to much more feel like walking through a door. And knowing that that door is going to be gone as soon as you are done walking through it. It won't exist anymore because you're somewhere new. And there is no turning around. There is no turning back. There's only forward from here. There's only freedom and forward motion from here. There's only the discovery of who you are becoming next. And yeah, you're not going to get all the information for how that's going to play out. You're not going to be able to see 25 steps ahead. You're going to be able to see what you need to see now. You have huge infusions coming in this life. This year, you are going to be taking on new roles, new identities, new ways of doing the work. That's big. That's scary. That's wild. That is wildness. Letting your wild soul move you through the world is feeling like you're cresting a wave, or you're standing at the edge of a cliff with no safety equipment. Speaking of standing at the edge of a cliff with no safety equipment, the Fool is here, along with the Page of Cups. I feel like these guys would definitely have a great time together. They get each other. They're like, yeah, like, let's do it. Let's go for it. Let's throw it out there. Let's try. You are stepping into new roles. You are stepping into a new way of being. Whether that be learning how to be on your own and really owning your individuality, or learning to be a partner, learning to lead and head up your own project, or to take a step back and slow down and maybe just focus on one project. However that uncomfortable shift is coming in for you, that's where the good stuff is. That's where the wild soul is leading you. And I really do want to reiterate time and again that these catalytic change cards, Judgment and the Tower and the Six of Swords, these cards that are about leaving behind something completely. These are things that have already finished. They've already completed. They're done. There's nothing left to do with these things. There's nothing left to explore with these things. So even though there's a bittersweetness in leaving them behind, you also know you've culminated, you've created, you've finished, you've completed. I'm going to pull a final card from my Animal Totem Tarot. This is a beautiful deck. We use the symbolism of animals to kind of help us connect in with deeper wisdom. Let's see what we pull out. The book that comes along with this deck is so beautiful. Like, the messages that are there for it are just like I'm so curious to see what's coming up for Leos because this is big. If you want to be a big, bold person living their truest life, guess what? You allow things to transmute regularly. It's not about staying the same. And we have the Ten of Cups. It's the penguins. That makes me so happy. Isn't that beautiful? The thing is, you see all these catalytic cards and then they're surrounded by these warm love cards, these warm adventure cards. You see what I'm saying? That sometimes the Tower, we think it's going to take away the thing we think of as our essential self or the thing that we love the most. But sometimes the Tower just comes in to take away the mundane, to strike out what is empty now. It doesn't always have to be about taking away the love of your life or the job of your life. It can sometimes honestly be a lot subtler than that and take away, an old habit. But I want to read the message from this book for the Ten of Cups. Let me see if I can find it here. It's just taking me a second. Okay, we're getting close. We're getting close, my friends. Okay, Ten of Cups, the penguin. Love, trust, and support are important elements to our penguin culture. Without them, we would end up alone or in the jaws of one of our many predators. Yet despite the many dangers we face on a regular day, the most dangerous of all is being alone when the winter winds whip into our homes. Without the love and protection of our community, we would never last, and our way of life would be no more. So it's a really interesting message to have come across here, right, in all of this change. And when I think about the message I was telling you about being held with that Nine of Cups and that Nine of Pentacles, really being seen, being held, being nurtured, and stepping into and committing into your community, into your love, into your projects, that can be catalytic. That can destroy who you've been before more than something that's actually destructive, right? And it can be scary. If you've learned to do things on your own, if you've learned to survive, if you've learned these other mechanisms, it can be just as scary to step fully into being seen and being held as it can be to have the inverse of that, right? So the way that these blessings show up is really big. Now just be open to this shifting, to this clicking, because it's really an upgrade to frequency. And sometimes, when we meet a new frequency, we're learning how to be in that frequency. We're learning, we're catching up, we're modifying. Be gentle with yourselves. I have a New Year wish for my Leo Pride. I love you all so much. I'm so proud of you. I'm so excited for this adventure ahead. Here is the New Year's wish. May this year be full of soft, giving love. May your heart bloom open, and may you lean into the uncertainty and the wild with curiosity and joy. May your trust in your gut lead you to your greater destiny. May you always feel held and safe as you venture forward. May you take movements on the things that really matter to you. Cheers, my beautiful lion community. Very beautiful things are on their way, but you have to trust. You have to trust yourself. You have to trust your wildness, and you have to trust the change. If you're wanting more of this nourishing goodness of sitting here, talking, feeling through things, please join me on Patreon. I'm going to be planning on creating a lot more and creating more space there. It's something that I'm really loving doing. So if you haven't joined me, I'd love to see you there. If you have, thank you so much. You can also find me on Instagram at SarahVerba or at my website, sarahverba.com. I do one-on-one sessions. I haven't opened up my 2020 calendar yet. There's still a lot of moving parts that I have to figure out in order to open up sessions. I'm going to have a limited number that I'm opening up for the first half of the year. So if you're interested in working one-on-one with me, I highly recommend you email me so I can get you on the notification list so you know when those sessions are available. Yeah. I will see you all in February and also for the moon magic. So this powerful eclipse season, I'm so excited to share it with you. I hope you have a beautiful beginning to the new year. Welcome your wild soul. Welcome the blooming of your heart. Welcome the shifts that happen when you start following your wild soul. And I will see you all in February.